Joe Nolley, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Appreciate you, man.
I'm super excited to be here. We've been trying to get this together for a long time, and today everything worked out, man.
It worked out, yep.
Super excited about it.
Good deal, man. Good deal. Me too. We went to high school together.
Absolutely.
And before that, I'm not exactly sure where you're from, to be honest. Tell me where you're from.
So all the way up through middle school, I actually started attending high school in Diana, and that's when my family moved to Diana. Lived in Kilgore before that, attended Kilgore school districts, but spent pretty much every summer in Diana from as long as I can remember with my grandparents.
Okay, grandparents are from Diana, or at least lived in Diana.
All of my family except mine, actually.
Okay, interesting. All right, cool. So, man, talk about your grandparents for me. I was going to ask you about early male role models.
100%. Early male role model was grandfather.
Yeah.
They say that grandfathers are a young man's first hero, and he absolutely was, is, and will always be mine.
That's awesome. That's great. So spend some time out there in the summers.
In the summers, I actually out there fishing with my grandmother, where I learned to fish, is who taught me to fish.
Okay.
And our coming from the CMO family, we are big outdoorsmen, so we like to hunt in the fall. So winter break was out there hunting with grandfathers and uncles, and summer break was out there fishing with grandmother and learning to fish.
That's great. Love it, man. Was your father in your life?
Absolutely.
The picture whenever you were a kid? Okay, gotcha. And
so growing up, I come definitely from a two-parent background.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with the way I was raised. Loved everything about it. Raised in a church, etc. Raised to work hard.
Right.
Very hard.
Right.
My family owned a business. We owned a lawn care business, and I pretty much worked since I was 5.
Okay.
And that is not me. It wasn't like that. It was child labor abuse or anything like that. I worked because that's what my family did, and I wanted to be like my family.
Yeah. Well, you and Kenneth both. I mean, you tell that work ethic definitely got ingrained.
Absolutely.
And it's being borne out. So that's great, man. Let's talk about faith, because I want to hear about when you became a Christian.
Let's go back.
Yeah.
So, remember at 5 years old at Trinity Baptist Church in Lakeport.
Okay.
And I very vaguely remember this. Walked down the aisle, got baptized because I thought that was what you're supposed to do in a family. Mm-hmm. But truth be known, didn't understand everything. So June 11th, 1996. And that date's very specific to me because it's the day before my birthday.
Okay.
So I remember the exact day. Pastor Ross Worley had come to our home.
Okay.
To visit with my mother about something, and growing up in church, etc. But there was a message that was preached probably a few months before that had stuck to me and just kept going. All right, Joe, are you sure? You really know? I mean, that was a long time ago. You were 5. Do you really know what it is you're talking about?
Yeah.
But remember sitting down at that table and visiting with Ross Worley, and going, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I would much rather let's be sure of it right now, 100% sure.
That's awesome.
And when the Holy Ghost gets a hold of you, sometimes He smacks you.
There you go. Yes, He does.
And it was a very emotional event for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have always lived that life. And we'll get into, I'm sure, part of this later, but, this past Thanksgiving, I got a real wake-up call in life.
Yes, we will get to that. Yep. Definitely want to hear about that.
Sure.
Man, that's cool. Ross Worley, man, that's somebody I need to be on the podcast.
Love Ross.
That's a great guy.
Super good dude. I see him every now and then. Love him to pieces. He's just a great guy. He was a youth pastor for a lot of years, and then the pastor of Walnut Creek.
Yep, man, that's awesome. Joe, you are married with a daughter.
Married with a daughter.
Right. And just the one child, right?
Just the one child.
She's in college, right?
In college, attends East Texas Baptist University.
Wow.
Just got done with the freshman year.
Time flies, huh?
Boy, it went by quick.
That's amazing.
Really quick. I promise you, time's a thief. Growing up when she was young, I thought, at 2 or 3 years old, or even infancy stage, I thought, I got plenty of time. It's going to be okay. And young dads out there, you don't have time. You might think you have time. Time will slip away from you.
Yeah.
So, if I could encourage any of them, I'd soak it up, every minute of it. I wish I could go back and do it all over again. There's so many things I would change, I would try to be better at, and would certainly spend more time there instead of working, thinking that was what my family needed, was to provide more. And don't get me wrong, 100% you need that in family. But children need their dads.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
That's a real serious thing to me. And I look back and wish I'd have spent a little bit more time being a dad, being home.
Right.
I was involved. It's not like she didn't see me, but throughout a few careers now. Sometimes I'd be on the road 30, 40 days at a time.
Ooh, man, that's rough.
It was pretty
That's
rough, but
yeah.
but we made it.
Yeah,
We made
definitely,
it.
man.
You know, thank
And-
God for FaceTime.
Yeah, seriously, no doubt about that.
That's what kept my sanity, to be honest with you, man.
Wow, that's amazing,
You know,
man.
spending a little time in the oil field. You're in West Texas, South Texas, Arkansas. You're all over the place.
Yeah, and those are some rough environments too.
Very, very, very rough environment.
Man, that's crazy. Well, that's during this whole thing, anytime you feel like throwing out any kind of encouragement towards young dads, whatever, or any dads,
I'm for it.
feel free. That's what I'm
Absolutely.
saying. Stop me. Say, hey, man, you know what? I feel like I need to say this because that's what this is about.
Absolutely.
And I've seen you, I guess, on social media. Like we haven't really kept up,
Sure.
in person that much, but seen you on social media and just I've seen how you are out there, mentoring kids and using your passions, the outdoors, fishing, all that good stuff to mentor kids. And I'm like, man, Joe has got a heart for bringing up kids, young kids, young men. What inspired you to start doing that? What did you think I want to mentor young men, or was it like
There's actually a full story with that.
Hit me with
so, younger Joe, mid-20s Joe, always liked kids, always wanted to be around kids, always, enjoyed helping at Vacation Bible School.
Yeah.
Before Gracie came along, helped with the RA program a lot, still help with it where I can
Yeah.
and as needed.
Yeah.
But really where the passion with the outdoors, so we're going to talk about this, and I'll go ahead and tell you now, I mean, I think it is taboo, and I think it's ridiculous that say, they say grown men don't cry or get. We're guys. We have feelings. We have emotions too.
Yep, yep.
So I mean, if at any part throughout telling this I get a little emotional, bear with me. I'm good.
buddy, we're good. We're good because I don't want that to be taboo. I don't think that should be taboo.
I don't think it should either. I think we're humans just like anybody else. Don't get me wrong. We're rough. We're tough, etc. But we do have a heart and emotions too. So
Sure.
really where the involved with the kids in the outdoors came was from grandfather.
Okay.
So I work heavily with an organization called CMO Outdoors. CMO
Okay.
Outdoors is basically initials passed down heirloom in my family. So my grandfather was Clinton Mac Oliver,
Okay.
named his two sons who would carry on the bloodline. One was Carl Matthew and the other one was Clayton Mark Oliver.
Okay.
And that tradition has still been passed down to children, and I believe it's on generation 4 now.
Okay. Wow.
So CMO Outdoors was formed after grandfather died. So I'm the eldest grandson in the family.
Okay.
And again, we talked about it earlier. Grandfather is, and will always be my hero. Greatest outdoorsman I've ever met in my life. Probably the greatest human I've ever met in my life. He was a lot of fun to be around, easy going. Wasn't loud when he spoke, but you always knew you got real good sound advice if he gave you that little wink, soft, and then talked real soft over a cup of coffee. I mean, it probably may not have been what you wanted to hear, but it's what you needed to hear.
There you go. That's it.
So the evening before he passed about 7:30 in the morning. The evening before he passed, grandfather was heavily involved in the youth, perhaps maybe even troubled youth, and used the outdoors as a classroom. And that the last time he and I spoke, he said, somebody's got to carry it on. And it's not just me. I'm not the founder of CMO Outdoors, et cetera.
Right.
But that was the last time we spoke. And he said, do you promise? I got you.
Wow.
So every day of my life since, that's it matters a lot.
Wow. Yeah, no doubt, man.
Promise made, promise kept.
That's amazing. So your grandfather was doing this for, much of his life.
Quietly, most folks would have never known it.
Wow, that's so crazy. So he that's as generations go on, this is going to be missed more and more. But obviously, there's something about that. There's something about the opportunity to shape somebody
Sure.
in the outdoors. And what, can you put your finger on that? Did your grandfather tell you, here's why the outdoors is the classroom?
For me, I learned more about being in the cow pasture and in the hunting woods about life than I ever have living life. And the full circle of life. Why, how something is born, why the trees are here, how God provided all of this for nature to eat and survive and make it to the winter. And as far as perhaps that's the reason we hunt. It would be a severe overpopulation of animals if there weren't hunters out there. So he really explained all of that. And if you think back to it, it's kind of a circle of life of how the human life is too. It's really not that much different if you think about it.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you were doing this way before you were a father yourself.
Yes.
I mean, you saw that, man, that's so cool. Just to be raised up in that, constantly seeing, okay, we need to help the younger generation. We need to raise these young men and women up.
Sure.
And which in your case, you had the opportunity to raise a young woman up.
Yes.
In the outdoors. Your daughter, she's an outdoors woman, correct?
Very
you
much
told me
so.
about that.
Very
what
much
what
so.
all is she into?
Gracie is into anything and everything.
Okay.
Gracie likes to go fish for fun. Gracie will go competitive fish with Dad.
Okay.
Gracie is an avid hunter. She's not just a gun hunter. Gracie's a bow hunter.
Oh, wow.
Anymore now Dad just kind of goes along for her adventures, not because she needs Dad.
Yeah, right. Man,
I'm just grateful I still get to be there and get to be a part of it.
No doubt, man.
But one day that's coming. It'll be time for her to pass it on to her kids, and I want to watch it all go. I hope I live long enough to see it all.
Yeah, definitely. Is there like an age range? Is there a that kid's too young? Is it like, don't bring so and so out? He's
No.
4 years old or
Don't,
whatever?
no, absolutely not. Bring them.
Really?
I'm that person. I don't care how young they are. I've got a whole slew of little great nephews now. The oldest one being 6, and the youngest one just turned 3, and or I
Okay.
say not youngest, but I guess the mid-aged one
Okay.
just turned 3, and they're going to be hardcore outdoorsmen just like their dad was.
I love it, man. Well, how do you see? How do you see all these activities, fishing, hunting, all that stuff? How do you see it help? I was gonna say boys, but I mean we're on both sides of the gender
Absolutely.
spectrum. How does it help kids grow emotionally? The younger generation, I don't know if they're as emotionally strong as
Right.
our grandfather's generation was. How do you see those activities helping kids grow emotionally?
Emotionally, I think there's highs and lows in the outdoors.
Yep.
And I think just as it's highs and lows as it is in the outdoors, it's also highs and lows in life. You can be on cloud 9 1 minute, and you can be down. The highest of the highs, lowest of the lows.
Yeah.
I particularly understand that better in competitive fishing than anything. Some of the kids that I work with, high schools, colleges, etc. I tell them it's the losingest sport you will ever participate in.
Right.
Ever. For me, I don't know how many fishing tournaments I have competed in throughout the years. It's been a lot, but if you take arguably the greatest of all times, Kevin Van Dam, who was a professional angler, had a great long, lengthy career, and he wins. If he's the greatest of all time, then he wins less than 1% of the time. So
Wow.
it's a very,
wow.
very losing sport. You are going to lose.
Say that again. Okay, so he's the winningest angler.
Probably considered the greatest of all time, and has won first place less than 1%. It's probably
What in the world?
less than 0.5%.
What in the world? That's crazy.
So
Okay.
you think about it. If you're competitive fishing, and we're all out, don't get me wrong. It's nice to be in the money to try to at least get the money you've
Sure.
invested in it back. But
Sure.
A true competitor, you're just fishing for the number one spot. For me,
Right.
it's never been about the money. It's been about I want to be the best that day.
Yeah.
And that's so when I say the best, winning first place.
Right.
And if the field's 200, you have 199 people that did not win.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
So that's
Yeah.
how you could really blank that back to about less than 0.5% of the time.
That's
and I mean,
crazy.
it's probably several $1 million for him and competitive tournament angler winning, endorsement, et cetera.
Right.
He had a great long career, 30 plus years.
Right.
I watched him since I was a little boy. Looked up to him, met him
Yeah.
a few times. Super good dude.
Man, wow, that's crazy. It's just those numbers kind of struck me.
It's very staggering.
Interesting, yeah.
It's the and I think in order to be a really good competitive fisherman, and I think also to be a very good human, you got to learn that you're not going to win all the time.
Yeah.
Life is 100% not fair.
Right.
I don't know any other way to put that. I mean, I'm a very kind of outspoken and to the point type person. Life's not fair.
Yep.
You're going to get beat, and you just got to wake up the next day with a good attitude and go back at it. That's all you can do.
That's it, man. That's great advice. I love that. What about spiritually? I mean, do you see any kind of? I mean, you're making parallels here of outdoor life. These types of sports and regular life. And what about spiritually? I mean, without getting too hippy dippy, is there any kind of spiritual connection?
Here's the greatest thing I think spiritually about the outdoors, and this is going to sound wild and crazy. And if you know me at all, my mind goes all over the place. I'm highly ADD. If you've ever watched me fish, my mind fishes to both ends of the lake at the same time with 8 different lures. That's just how I work. But spiritually, so here's how I like to relate spiritually to the outdoors. If we're out there in the boat, you ain't got nowhere to go for 9-10 hours.
Right.
We got a lot of time to talk.
Yeah, right.
And I think often that whenever you approach sometimes with certain individuals, if their heart's not right, when the Jesus and going through the Roman road, etc., God and certainly a higher being, somebody that created all of us, created everything around us. Whenever that conversation comes up, it seems to me people seemingly sometimes have somewhere that they all of a sudden got to be real fast.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But if we're in the boat in the middle of the lake and we're 25 miles away from where we put the boat in the water, we got a lot of time to talk.
Yeah.
And there is no running at that point. I know that sounds like I'm entrapping somebody, but I don't mean it that way at all. But I mean,
right.
if you really, for me, again, if you look all around everything that I do in the outdoors, God made the fish. God made the birds. My favorite moments in life is to be in the woods whenever God wakes the woods up. It's a moment if somebody out there hadn't experienced it, it's a beautiful thing. For me, being in a place I love to hunt and bird pond, I like to get there an hour before first light whatsoever. I like for it to be real cold and a good hot cup of coffee. And the very moment God speaks and says it's time, it's everything comes to life at one moment. And to me, that's just such a beautiful moment in life. I've experienced it. It's something I think about and ponder on often.
Man, that's awesome. I love that, which I have not experienced that.
It's a wonderful thing.
Man, that's great. Wow. So do you, I don't want to name names or anything, or if you think it'd be okay, go for it. But do you remember a certain time that an individual, you just felt like there was a real breakthrough? I mean, there's probably many, but is there a standout story that you have where you're like, okay, this person, like the Lord's speaking to this person, they're getting it, and you were just,
I can actually relate it back to an RA camp.
Okay.
Going through, so at RA camp, if you don't know, there is a fishing competition, et cetera.
Right.
And it's not a matter of how many pounds like we don't normally fish in competitive fishing. It's number of fish, biggest fish, smallest fish, et cetera. It's fun for the kids.
Right.
But to have gone through for us that particular event, and the boy was 9 years old, and I'm not going to name names. He's obviously pretty young. But it got down to, we were the last church to go compete in the fishing event. Before we got to that, I brought a whole bunch of snap swivels, and we went through how we are to be fishers of men. And just like this bracelet I wear now, we just made it out of swivel. It goes all the way around it.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And while they were fishing and us helping them fish, you could talk about various things about how Jesus fed 5,000 with fish.
Yep.
Et cetera. And that young boy about 3 hours later, I think, came to meet his Lord and Savior, 100%. I mean, it was big for him. It was big for me. And not that I want any of the credit for it, but it's something that stands out and I'll never forget.
That's amazing, man. Having a son that has autism and has dealt with behaviors that aren't really, I mean, they're obviously caused by, his issues with autism. I think about, what drives boys bad, or I say boys, people.
Sure.
What drives bad behavior. And I'm just wondering if you've seen an instance where you had a boy that their behavior, changed because of just spending time in that outdoor classroom. I mean, like, have you seen anything like that?
Multiple times.
Behaviorally, where this kid was struggling?
My favorite people to work with are the ones that are maybe struggling in life. Again, we can wind up in my shop making fishing lures, getting a boat, or we'll squirrel sometime. We'll just come pick you up because maybe we just need to have a strong talking to.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We can go ride for hours. I got fuel.
Awesome.
It'll be fun. I love working with any and everybody in the outdoors, but kids that maybe don't have a dad or don't have a strong father. That's the ones I would much rather, if I had to pick.
Yep.
That's who I want to work with.
Man, that's awesome.
Just because everybody needs that person in their life. So. Which
is obviously a calling. I mean, this isn't like, well, I'm just going to go get whoever's the least responsibility and, the easiest. I mean, this is a calling, right?
I guess you want. I don't really know.
Sounds to me like
it's. I'm passionate about it. How about that?
Yeah, right.
Very,
And
very
so
passionate about it.
you're in a marriage, which is a team. Obviously, your
Yes.
wife is she's all in on this calling as well.
I married the most wonderful woman 23 years ago. Been about 23 and a half years now.
Okay.
And good Lord, I'm a busy person
Yeah.
between working full time and fishing and on the go. And obviously after Gracie was born, it was absolutely wild. And
Sure.
Gracie's probably the earliest thing she remembers was being probably a toddler in a playpen in the back of the boat.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, no, I put her out there. I would bring her. I would put towels over it so she wouldn't sunburn. But she's been in the boat with me probably since she was about 4 months old.
That's amazing.
Started going to the woods at about 18 months old,
Wow.
and we're still best buddies. Still fish together. Still hunt
Sure.
together.
Man, that's
we
great.
have a fantastic time.
That's great, man.
It's kind of funny thinking back. So we found out my wife was pregnant with our daughter on June 13th. When I remember that's because it's the day after my birthday.
Okay. Yep.
Of 2005, and I thought, man, we'll stop there and we'll kind of go back from that. So my wife and I had a child, and we still have
Okay.
a child that's waiting on us in heaven. We had a miscarriage, and that was hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really hard. Janie and I kind of wanted a big family, and probably it was a really. The whole thing was a very emotional time, but our church family loved on us, and our family loved on us, and we got through that.
That's awesome.
Somebody, people out there may be thinking, well, she didn't birth the child. I was a father that day.
Exactly.
Birth or a child in human life begins at conception. Whenever you first find out, that's the way that I think about it.
Amen.
And nobody will ever convince me otherwise of that.
Same here, buddy. Same here.
I consider myself a biological father of two. I have not met one, and I will meet him or her one day, and I look forward to it.
That's amazing, dude. You talked about church family and family loving on you. I've been around when friends in a friend group have gone through a miscarriage, and just noticing people around, even in the church, not really knowing what to say.
Sure.
That's a huge thing that you guys had a church family that was encouraging and that loved on y'all.
Sure.
Not that there is anything perfect that you can't say, but
for me, a gentleman named Paul Phillips, super good dude. I've known him a long time. He and I taught a high school Sunday school class together a lot of years
Okay.
ago. So I think Father's Day was actually the Sunday following my wife telling me we
Wow.
were pregnant, and they asked in church for the fathers to stand up and be recognized, and I didn't. I was sitting next to Paul, and Paul just kind of scratched me and he nubbed on me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, he or she isn't born yet." He said, "You're a father's son. Stand
man,
up."
that's awesome.
And it kind of goes back to the age-old, does life begin after birth, or does life begin inside the womb? And for me, and he wasn't wrong. I just didn't feel like that was maybe my place or time
Sure.
to stand up. But thank goodness for Paul. He encouraged me, and I'll never forget that. That he reminded me, "You're a dad that day."
That's awesome.
The day Janie told me that, I was a dad that day.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, do we believe it or not?
Sure,
love
and
it, man.
that's absolutely living faith, not just talking faith.
That's right, man. That's right. I love it. It's better. I mean, I'll just say this. My wife has really taught me this, but in one of those instances of miscarriage, you don't know what to say. Nobody
Sure.
knows what to say, but she says, it's better to say something
Right.
than to just ignore it. I mean, you gotta, to acknowledge somebody's going through something. So anyway, just wanted to touch on that. Awesome that your church family and your family was
Absolutely.
good. Good for you in that.
People were really great, and I think back about it often. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I don't get sad over it sometimes.
Sure.
But again, that kind of goes back to men are humans, and we have human emotions too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't think it's really necessarily talked about enough.
I think you're right.
And I think that's kind of, for me, that was something I was really excited to come on here and talk about. We're going to be just real and raw today.
Let's do it, man. Yep.
It's it is what it is. And if we are to be the spiritual leaders of our home, and we are to be Christ-like and to follow Him, Christ wept too.
That's right.
So
That's right.
It's anybody that says that men can't cry. I beg to differ.
I beg to
I would
differ.
like to think that I'm as tough as they come still. And I'm a human. I have emotions too.
That's right. Man, tell me, okay, how has mentoring others impacted your relationship with your own child? Has there been
Oh man,
ever been any jealousy with that?
no. Gracie's heavily involved with it.
Okay.
It's not just her and I've talked heavily about one day I'm not going to be around, and it's not. Again, I'm going to reiterate, this isn't just me.
Right.
This is brother, cousins. There's lots of us involved in
Okay.
this.
Gotcha.
Maybe I'm the one that's maybe seen more, maybe a little bit more outspoken, maybe talk about it a little bit more, and that's okay. Maybe they're not. Maybe that's not what they feel they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And no fault to them. Hey, wherever God leads you, go for it, brother. But
Right.
for me, I guess maybe that's my way of my release of it.
Sure.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it.
Gotcha. So, I mean, brothers, cousins. I mean, you got other people who are an actual part of CMO Outdoors.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So, I guess I wasn't too aware
Yeah.
of the actual structure of it
Yeah,
and all that.
A lot of folks probably not, but yeah, no. So there's a lot of us involved in that. Even goes back to like the high school teams that we work with. My business partner Marty, older gentleman, has no kids. Still got a little bit of family left. My family is part of his family. He's part of our family. He for something for him to do. He's retired now. If a high school team needed an additional boat captain, and we actually ran across that situation this year.
Okay.
One of three all-female teams in the entire state in high school fishing. My one of my best running buddies and business partner is their captain.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah, and hats off to him for it. That
Yeah.
was awesome. That's time and money out of his pocket, and time going this
Seriously.
and that, et cetera, for him to take his time and go do that. But they're awesome, two young ladies, I can't imagine a better captain, not even me, for them.
Man, that's great. Yeah, and so this ain't this ain't free by any means. Like you're saying, I mean, of course, time, but I mean, equipment, all that good stuff. I mean, he's given all that to
Time, fuel, boat, tackle, et cetera.
Yeah.
He's really awesome with them, and they he loves, or I say that, and I guess the better way to say that is they love him, and he might not would admit it, but he loves them too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that they can tell.
I have
maybe
no doubt they can.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So tell me about that, because I'm not sure about Marty, if he was a part of competitive fishing or whatever. But how would somebody, if there's a father listening to this who's thinking, man, I've been a fisherman my whole life, I've been a hunter, I would love to give back, pour into somebody. Like, what's some advice you give to another father or man or anybody who wants to become more involved mentoring kids through outdoor activities?
I think the first thing really you got to think about is if you're going to do something and you're going to say, if you tell somebody you're going to do it, do it.
Okay.
I don't think that can be emphasized enough. I think all too often, especially some of the kids that I work with, some of the young men particularly, have been told something and it not be followed through or not happen. And it could be due to just trying to say, hey, yeah, we'll take care of this, and then I'm going.
Yeah.
I think that would be the number one piece. If you say you're going to do it, stick to it. Period.
Yeah.
I've got young men that I started working with when they were 5. They're adults now, and I
Wow.
still enjoy getting to see them. They come to the house often, or if I go to there, or we go, we still go spend some time together, dinner, et cetera, whatever the case may be.
That's awesome.
It for me, I think there's so much to it. I don't think it's necessarily, for me, the way I think about it, the outdoors is not really as much. Fishing is not really about fishing. Hunting and getting out there is not really as much about what you bring home from it. For me, I think the opportunity to have a little bit of impact, in whatever minor or major it may be, on somebody, to help them become the best version of who God intended for them to be.
Right.
I think that's really what I get out of it.
Man, that's awesome.
Don't get me wrong. It's fun if we kill a big deer, or we go weigh in a big sack of fish, or we go catch a whole bunch of fish. That's great.
Right.
That's just kind of the icing on the cake, but that's not really what it's about to me.
Got you. So maybe if you're looking at working with kids, you got to realize you got kids along with you. So, if somebody, spooks a deer or something like that, you're not able to get the kill or something that you wanted because you've got some kids along.
Patience and lots of it.
That's kind of what you signed up for. Right?
Absolutely. I think everything that we do, if we have something that doesn't go exactly the way that we want it to, you use that as a learning lesson. You'll be better next time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Love it, man.
And it doesn't matter if that's competitive fishing or do something to perhaps spook a big deer and not get that opportunity. Again, life's full of winning and losing, and ups and downs, and you got to be able to take the hard times and the failures right there with the wins and the good times.
Right. Got you. How can churches or community groups support what you're doing? I mean, is there some kind of a, sponsorship thing or some kind of group, can a church say, hey, you know what, I want to partner with CMO Outdoors. We got some kids coming to our church that are, we think need some direction. I mean, have you ever had anything like that?
Have never even thought about it, to be honest with you. Kind of what we do is word of mouth. Truthfully, I mean, people kind of see on social media some of the things that we do. And I'm that person. I'm not scared. I will put my phone number on, so I don't care if it winds up on a bathroom wall. I don't care.
Yeah.
If that means that there's an opportunity out there to truly help somebody, or just I think sometimes I think we as people have forgotten that God gave us one mouth and two ears for a reason.
There you go. I've forgotten that many times in my life.
Me too. It happens, and it's just part of it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we all the time want to be that fix in somebody's life, and I think we forget sometimes maybe we just need to sit down and honestly and actively listen, not just sit there. I mean, I've had kids that we can go talk about it. I've had kids that if you need me to just sit with you for 10 hours today, I sit there and we ain't got to say a word.
Wow.
It doesn't bother me none.
Man, that's awesome. Love it, dude. I love it.
God works how God works, and I'm grateful to very, very. I mean, I don't even like necessarily even talking a whole lot about it because it's not about me.
Right.
At all.
Well, and I mean, anybody who knows what you're doing would believe that, which I know you don't like talking about you a whole lot, but November 28th, 2024. How does that?
That was a bad day, wasn't it?
What does hearing that date make you think of? I mean, tell me about that day. What happened that day?
So Thanksgiving morning, I was out working. I mean, for those that don't know, I do not do the exact same job anymore, but I was a full-time truck driver, delivered gasoline all over East Texas, run 5-6 nights a week, 10, 15 hours a night. No big deal. It was Thanksgiving morning. And I pulled into a loading facility to get a load of fuel to load that big 18-wheeler up, and it was my last load that morning, and it was exactly 3 a.m. I'd been having some back problems, et cetera. I went to saw a chiropractor, knew how to do some back stretches, some back muscle problems, and I was standing. Little John, I was just standing with my hands in my pocket. I was doing nothing strenuous. I was waiting for fuel to load. I was doing nothing. And I had a real sharp pain in between my shoulder blades, directly kind of around my spine, and that's really the first thing. And I thought, man, something that didn't feel good. That hurt.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, maybe I just, maybe I slept wrong, maybe whatever. Did not think just a whole lot about it. Knew it hurt, knew it hurt bad, but I thought, let me go out here to the truck and do some of these stretches.
Yeah.
Went out to the truck to stretch, and things got 200 times worse. So. We'll talk more about the story, but so folks would understand, I had an aneurysm on my aorta. That the initial first pain was it rupturing.
Oh gosh.
I was standing there and the aneurysm ruptured. When I went outside to stretch, I actually tore it, and it's referred to as a dissection.
Okay, right.
And that's when things really, it was bad to begin with, but it got way worse.
And you felt the pain in your back.
Yeah, it was actually so the aorta is the return blood vessel to your heart.
Yep.
But I never felt pain here.
Weird.
It was strictly, the
which would throw you. I mean, like it make you think, oh, this is just that back pain I've been dealing with or something.
Absolutely, and I have before I got involved in the oil field or truck driver, I was a police officer. Have
right.
a very strong background in firefighting, very strong background in emergency medical response.
Right.
And I had absolutely no clue. I really did. I thought maybe somehow you have pinched a nerve in your neck back. But I remember going to the ground, and I remember getting myself back up. I got one leg up, went back to the ground again. Just absolutely could not do anything. Had been on the phone with one of my coworkers who had just left there shortly ago, and was kind of in and out of it. That was the most painful thing I've ever had happen in my life. I don't wish it upon anybody. Don't want it to happen again. But I had enough sense to me to know I was in serious trouble.
Yeah.
And reached over and hit redial
on
my phone, and I don't remember a whole lot about even talking to him. I remember telling him I'm in trouble and something's bad wrong. I need help. I don't want to get anybody in trouble with part of this story, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
go ahead.
don't do that.
Well, I'm gonna tell it. So there was, I'm sure, at some point, a call went out to emergency services. Now, you got to understand, I am inside a very, very, very secure facility. This is where we load gasoline, and it's at a high rate. This is a very secure place.
Right.
I mean, a long background check to even get your hazmat license, et cetera. You
Right.
punch in, punch out. I mean, there's guards around it. It's a real serious place. So somewhere along the lines, somebody found me. And I don't remember a lot of them finding. I remember screaming and hurting. That's what I probably remember the most of, is screaming and hurting.
Yeah.
Well, a call went out that actually, and I trimmed myself up knowing I was coming here today, but I was gonna shave that Thanksgiving Day for Thanksgiving lunch with the family, but I looked pretty rough that day. I'm not gonna kid you.
Yeah.
Needed a haircut. Beard was a little bit longer. Needed to shave, etc.
Yep.
So I totally understand what happened, but. A call went out to emergency services in that area, and initially it was reported that a homeless man had wandered into this very secure facility and fell out and was asking for help.
Oh, no.
So they did not send an ambulance. They sent 2 police officers.
Oh, my gosh.
And I honestly don't know how long I was down. It was a long time before an ambulance got to me.
Wow.
I remember God love the 2 police officers when they got there. They said, "What are you doing in here?" I said, "Buddy, I don't know why you're here, but I need some help." And they said, "Well, what's going on?" I said, "I need an ambulance, not you." He said, "Well, how'd you get in here?" And I said, "Well, here's my shirt right there, and there's a gigantic truck with the same company name on it." He said, "You work here?" I said, "Absolutely, sir. Please send me an ambulance."
Yeah, come on.
I
Can we deal with this later?
I don't think you're going to be able to help me, but you might. If you can, I'm here for it. But
Can you put me in the car? Take me somewhere? Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
I remember seeing the ambulance drive up, and I mean, again, it was absolutely a point of desperation. I was hurting, was having a hard time breathing, scared. Y'all know I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. I did not. I remember, and God love, one of the poor people, or one of the safety guys at this particular facility had came to me, and they're running heart attack protocol on me.
Okay.
And I worked several heart attacks, et cetera, through my career and emergency response, whatever the case of it may have been. I knew 100% I wasn't having a heart attack.
Okay.
I knew pain down left arm, et cetera. I knew something was going on, but I didn't think it was anything heart related, and I knew I wasn't having a for sure heart attack. But I remember politely about the 5th time he went through this protocol, "Please quit doing this to me. I'm not having a heart attack."
Wow.
I just, the biggest thing you can do is when that ambulance gets here, get me on that ambulance, because I need to go to the hospital pretty quick. But I remember when the ambulance got there, I'm sure it was just moments, but it felt like an eternity. I remember rolling over on my stomach and trying to crawl to the ambulance. I was hurting that bad. Wow. The pain, the easiest way to describe it is, imagine you're laying on your stomach and somebody decides to take a 8-10 pound sledgehammer and hit you square in the spine in between your shoulder blades about every 90 seconds. And that's what it felt like.
Good.
I mean, that's the easiest way I know how to describe it. It was extremely painful, and that's not me sitting here telling you I'm tougher. I'd like to think I'm pretty tough, but I wasn't tough enough to overcome that.
Sure. Probably not too many people are.
I remember them getting me in the ambulance and hooking an EKG up to me. Obviously, that's their job. They're going through heart protocol. And I told the poor paramedic, I said, "Look, I've been in your shoes before. I'm not having a heart attack." She said, "Well, let's just check and see this and that." I'm trying to tell her, I said, "Ma'am, I know you're doing your job, and I'm not upset with you, but I'm not having a heart attack." And I think she really understood me whenever I looked over my own EKG and started reading my own EKG back to her. She said, "Look, I believe you. You're not having a heart attack. I promise you, I'm not having a heart attack."
Wow. So they listened to you. That's good.
Well, I mean, she was doing her job. I'm not upset with her.
Sure.
By no means. They have a hard enough job, and then probably dealing with somebody a little bit hard-headed like me just makes it more difficult. And I honestly kind of felt bad for them, to be straight with you, brother.
Well, but that's the third person. I mean, from the police officers trying to, it sounds like they were more worried about why you were in there, why a homeless guy was in there.
Yeah.
And then to the, the guys coming from the facility trying to work their heart attack protocol on you, to this person, you're thinking,
please,
let me just tell you what I need.
Please just get me to a hospital.
Yeah.
And I remember, God love my boss, Justin Reed, probably one of the greatest people. He's not just my boss; he's my buddy, he's my friend. We do a few things together. He's a lot of fun. But I remember Justin coming to the loading facility. It was 3 a.m.
Wow.
and he beat the police officers there.
Oh, wow.
Justin is not. He cares about those around him and his employees. It's not employees. He doesn't see it that way. It's family.
Man, that's great.
And we treat each other as such. We may give each other a hard time once in a while, but that don't mean we don't still love one another.
Yeah, sure.
But I remember Justin following me to the hospital, and that was the first familiar face I saw that I remember in the hospital. Laying there, started giving me some pain medication, but nothing really worked for very long. And I'll be to be 1,000,000% straight. I'm not sure how long I was actually even at the first hospital. I remember they finally did get some pain medication. My blood pressure was absolutely through the roof. It was astronomical. I was certainly at stroke hypertension level. But EKG, 100. It wasn't having. It's not heart related. He's not having a heart attack. It's not that. But we need to figure out what it is. And I remember going for a CT scan of my chest, and I don't think it was but a few moments after I came back into the ER room that I was greeted by a whole bunch of people that wanted to talk to me in white coats and nurses, etc.
They realize this is an issue.
Yeah,
this is not.
This is a real serious issue, and I remember the ER physician. I remember him telling me. He said, I don't really. It's Thanksgiving Day. I don't have the staff here to sincerely look after what you have going on. He said, you have a real problem. He said, we're hoping that you don't need emergency surgery. He said, but we need to. He just asked. He said, do you want to go to Dallas or do you want to go to Houston? I said, for what?
Yeah.
He said, and he kind of explained that basically, so a dissection, so your arteries, etc. And I'm no doctor, so I'm gonna try to explain this just the best way a redneck knows how to,
And
kind
I'll
of from
try
my
to
understanding.
But understand it about like a redneck would.
You have an inner vessel and an outer vessel, and essentially what happened is the inner vessel tore and created kind of a bulge on the outer vessel, and that's what was causing so much pain. You don't really necessarily have a lack of blood flow, or not like a clot related, but it's a flat out stop of blood flow. You're dead. What happened has an extremely high, depending on which doctor, what you read, between 93 and 98% fatality rate, and about the first 5 minutes of it occurring.
Night.
Most people do not live for an ambulance to get there. So I have a really kind of wild story to tell, but and we'll talk about that part here in a minute. But I remember laying there and Justin wanted to call my wife and daughter, and I so many years of being a first responder, my job was to take care of people.
Sure.
And to comfort people, and for them not to worry, not necessarily somebody worrying about what's going on with me, and very hesitant. But I did let him go ahead and call my wife and daughter, and obviously they contacted my running buddy, my team fishing partner, Marty.
Yep.
I think Marty and Gracie made it there first, and by the time that Janie was coming, they said, hey, we're just taking him somewhere. You probably need to pack for a couple of days. So Janie was the last one to get there, but strictly just because she was trying to get things together to go wherever and do. We didn't really know exactly. When they told me you don't have we're in the middle of Tyler, Texas, and this is not a small town, and they tell me we do not have the team here to monitor exactly what's going on with you. I knew things were pretty serious.
Yeah.
Didn't know how serious, but knew things were pretty serious. So they wanted to medevac me from Tyler to Baylor Baylor Scott and White Cardiovascular in downtown Dallas, and I don't think there was a bird readily available. And they said, well, it got real serious odds of survivability if we take you by ambulance. They said, that something goes wrong, this is going to be fatal fast. They were very hesitant about taking me by ambulance versus flying.
Gosh, that's scary.
And they said, how do you feel about it? And I told them, I plainly remember, I said, if God wants me dead, I'm dead. So what am I going to do about it? Whether it doesn't matter if it's in that ambulance or if I'm laying right here. When it's my time to go, it's my time to go, and I'm not going to sweat when that is. Call the ambulance. Let's go. I'll roll the dice. I'm not scared. But just kind of, I'll give you a little backstory before that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I don't think I was a bad person, but I haven't always done the right thing in life.
Sure.
whether it be as a father, and I love this, that this is a dad's podcast talking about
Yep.
the ins and outs of being a dad.
Yep.
The ups and downs of being a dad. I don't think it's really talked about. Again, it's kind of one of those taboo things. It's not
Yep.
easy. And again, you tell me I'm going all over the place, ADD, but
No, go for it, man. That's no problem.
I guess what I'm trying to tell you is I've not always been just a great person, but when God needs to get your attention, He'll get your attention real fast.
Yep.
Whether it's subtly, or in my case, I told you I'm pretty hard-headed, and sometimes it takes something pretty drastic.
Yeah.
And I promise you, God got my attention that day. And I remember, as dumb as it sounds, I remember sitting there thinking and asking God, look, if it's my time, let me go, but just take care of Janie and Gracie.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I remember asking Marty, as they're wheeling me out to put me in the ambulance, you take care of him. And he's a good dude. And I promise you, if that would have been my last day, he'd have took good care of him.
Yep. Yep. You're worried about the right things. You know what I mean? You're worried about your wife and your daughter being taken care of. And when I think about you, I don't think about somebody who is taking care of a whole lot. And so you went from taking care of a lot of people, carrying a big weight on your shoulders
Yes.
a lot, to all of a sudden you need, care 100%, correct?
Yeah.
How was that?
It
Realizing that you are, now I need everything.
Oh man, well that's kind of its own story. I'll go back to the loading facility real quick. There's a couple of things in all the pain that I do very specifically remember. And the third thing, you'd be like, really, that was on your mind? I thought about Janie, and what happens if something happens to me that I can't take care of Janie? I never thought about dying.
Right.
I guess while I was laying there in the initial pain, I don't never crossed my mind that I could die. They for doggone sure brought that to your attention in the hospital, and they let you realize how serious what's going on is. I thought about, what if I can't walk again? What if I can't walk my daughter down the aisle one day? So I obviously my two main concerns were my wife and my daughter,
Sure.
and what happens to them. And I guess the third thing I told you, I had something that was kind of most folks might think it's odd, but I thought about my high school fishing team that I worked with.
Really? Yeah.
And there was times it was an up and down. There was times of extreme pain, and there was times that I remember to some degree losing consciousness from the pain. And I thought, if you just got to keep fighting. And one of the things that I ask of them is, while you're in competition, you go from the time that you're able to the last second. You don't give up.
Yep.
Period. And that applies to life. So if I had just laid there, rolled over, and let whatever happen to me, I would have been a hypocrite and a liar
Wow.
to those kids. And I'm not going to be that. I'm a lot of things in life, but I'm not a liar. And if I can't, in good conscience, ask somebody to do something that I'm not willing to do. So when I tell you I fought for the 903 anglers as much as I fought for my wife and my daughter, I mean that.
Wow. That's incredible.
They mean a lot to me.
And just, to reiterate the whole mentoring aspect of your life and all this whole message, that comes from somewhere. Your whole belief about don't start something that you can't finish. Don't say you're going to do something without not doing it. Or without doing it. That comes from somewhere. And obviously the men in your life that raised you up, that was obviously you were hearing that.
And seeing it, not
And
just
seeing
hearing it, seeing it.
If your grandfather could hear this, he would just, he'd be delighted. I just think it's incredible what he instilled in you. It wasn't just him. Don't get me wrong. I miss my grandfather, but my late Uncle Carl, super great guy, was the exact same way. Uncle Mark, I did not have a bad childhood. I could come from a 2-parent background. My dad took me hunting, et cetera, and my younger brother a lot throughout life. And as you get older, I guess you kind of do your own thing, so to speak. Sure.
So, that's kind of where it all
That's
got
great.
involved. But again, 100% it was passed down. That was not something that necessarily may have been talked about.
Yeah.
But it was taught by action.
Yeah.
And I
You
think
saw it.
action speaks very loudly.
That's great. So, so you were okay, Baylor Scott and White. How long were you in the hospital?
So they got me there Thanksgiving noonish or so, and I was released late that Monday night following.
Okay. Okay.
Day one at Baylor, that Thursday, I cannot say enough good things. That's a wonderful place. I hate having to travel back and forth there like I
Sure.
do, but there's no other place that I would let anything to do with what happened to me. That's where I'm going. I'll make the 4 hour round trip every time
Cool.
for a 10-minute doctor's appointment because it does matter to me.
Yeah.
100% those folks saved the life of a real dumb or unworthy redneck. And you know, so day one, to be honest with you, John, I was on so much pain medication that they gave me. I don't remember just a lot of day one.
Sure. Sure.
Day two on that Friday, I remember kind of in and out most of the day and no appetite and a whole lot of pain. But I remember my right leg going absolutely ice cold. And up to that point, we were treating this by getting the blood pressure down. We're going to see if we can do this with medication and not anything else. And they came in, and I'm not sure the machine that they started checking for blood flow in my right foot all the way up to my hip, and I had none in my right leg. And that's the reason everything went ice cold. It was tingly, very painful. They took the temperature of my right foot and prepped me, and I was in surgery 15 minutes later.
Ooh, wow.
They installed 2 stents that day.
Okay.
I didn't, again, a lot of pain medicine, but I remember kind of coming to hurting a lot. And that was pretty much what I remember about Friday. I remember Saturday. Oh, and some of this is going to sound like I'm being mean or I'm trying to think how to say this or to explain to people.
Okay.
So I had a great care team. There was one doctor in particular. I'm not going to mention his name. I still communicate with him pretty often by email. But I remember the surgeon coming in and talking to me, and then one particular doctor coming in and talking to me, and the surgeon said, "Hey, you know, you've got a long road ahead of you." And I said, "Well, you know, very sincerely, you put the stitches in, and I'll walk it off. I mean, I'm still here, and you have already told me that I should be dead.
Yeah.
But God didn't let a dumb redneck die that day. So I'm here, and there's a purpose here." And I remember seeing that particular doctor, and that doctor kind of going, "You're not going to do anything again." And I said, "What do you mean I'm not going to do anything again?" He said, "You're pretty much going to be you're going to be in the bed, or somebody will look after you, probably the rest of your life."
Wow.
And I told him, I said, "You just said that to the wrong person."
Yep.
And that day, they actually, so I had all kinds of IVs in me from my feet, both arms. Had one on my neck, and that was the worst one. I mean, I don't even, I think it's called a central line. I don't ever want one of them again. It was not fun.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of pictures of me up on the walker walking around with that in my neck, and that was probably, as dumb as it sounds, that was the worst part of the whole thing for me.
Isn't it funny?
Because it was horribly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I remember getting up that day because he said, "You're not again." And I said, "Wrong person."
Yeah.
And I got up and I walked 200 feet
Good.
with a walker. And lots of tests, was up and down, moving around a lot. I told myself, you're going to have to get up. If you keep laying here, he might be right. But you know, again, goes back to the talking to my young friends and telling them that you're never out of the fight, and you go at it to the very end, and I want you to go at it hard. I want you to give it everything.
Yep.
And I told even as bad as it hurt to get up and move around, that if I tell them to do it, I better be willing to go do it myself.
Yep.
And to not hold anything back. And I would like to think that I've probably done that. So by release day on Monday, I could walk pretty consistently about 200 yards on a walker.
Wow.
And I told that doctor just kind of jokingly, I said, you know, they told me I had a return date for the first checkup, December 30th, unless I had to go to the hospital to do a complication before that. I said, "I'll walk a mile before I get back here." And he said, son, you won't be able to bicycle a mile before you get back to here.
Wrong person.
So I got home Monday night at 10 p.m. and at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, I walked a mile around the neighborhood.
Good
And he got
night,
an
man.
email about it that day.
You weren't gonna let him not know about that.
No.
Yeah.
And so I started. I had whether it be my daughter, my brother, my wife, some of my daughter's friends, etc., walk with me around the neighborhood. I told myself, you told him a mile before he comes back, and you did that day one, and that's not me tooting my horn.
Yeah.
That's just the human body and will to, I hate to say make him eat crow, but it was kind of personal. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie to
no
you.
doubt.
He said you can't. And I said, well, why are you writing me off?
Yeah.
And I said, you don't know anything about me. I said, you may can judge my condition and et cetera, but you can't judge my heart and
Yeah.
want to. And there's some grit here that you don't know about, Doc. I'm not from up here.
Guarantee it. So
so-
that whatever the day that was, day 3, whatever it was, when he told you that, did you decide yourself to get up and walk in that hospital, or
Yes.
was it like, okay, so this wasn't like a therapist came in, nurses came in and said,
No.
hey, we need to get you moving.
No.
They had pretty much, from their perspective, they were like, lay down.
I think they wanted me to move, but I think their idea of move around was get up and walk around in my room.
Yeah.
And that was not my idea of
And you
move
write
around.
that-
My idea of move around is let's get a walker, and if you're going to make me wear oxygen, I'll do it. But there's again, I'll try to find them later and send you some pictures. But it was the nurses. I think it kind of maybe astonished them a little bit. Like, he ain't supposed to be up walking, but here he is.
Here he is.
Again, that's not me tooting my horn. God
Yeah.
can do some really amazing things.
No doubt.
And I give the glory and the credit to God for all of it. But
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I don't think that was really necessarily their idea of moving around, but that was what I had in mind to do.
Gotcha. Well, I just wanted to clarify that. This was you going, what'd you say, Doc? Okay.
Yeah, no,
Here we go.
That was a bad idea. That was the wrong thing to say to the wrong person. So,
I'm sorry, go
so,
ahead.
so kind of the funny part of it was I got to where week one, I could do a mile pretty easy. It hurt.
Yeah.
But I was on a ton of pain medication, and it wasn't necessarily my favorite thing to get out and go do. But I got to where I could walk a mile nonstop in the morning and one nonstop in the afternoon. And I thought, well, let's just really mess the doctor up when I get back. Let's just really have some fun with him.
Yeah.
So that week, I sent him an email, and I said, I will have walked 5 miles nonstop before I come back and see you in 30 days.
Wow.
And he did not respond. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not. I want people to understand I'm not mad at the doctor
Yeah, sure.
at all. I mean, he helped save my life, no doubt. I'm a very driven person,
Yep.
and I don't do real well when somebody says something cannot be done if I know. At least give me the chance.
Right.
And I'm the kind of person that I might do it once and I might do it a second time for fun, just to remind you,
Right.
don't say that to me again.
Right.
I got to where I was pretty consistent. I was walking on my own without my wife had returned to work, little brother, and was around if I needed him.
Yeah.
I live in North City, he lives in Diana. I could be there pretty quick.
Okay.
But I'd finally convinced my wife, look, it's okay. I walk around the neighborhood on my own, and God love her. That probably was a tremendous leap of faith, and on her behalf, and going, God will take care of him. It'll be all right. But I got to where after about, I don't know, we were probably 4 or 5 days before my next appointment, and I could walk 3 miles pretty consistently without any issues.
Wow.
And it got down to the day before, and Janie and I were set to go to Baylor the next day, and I had not done that 5 mile mark yet. And the day before, I remember getting up very specifically, my wife and daughter being at home. It was on maybe a Sunday. I think we were due there on Monday. And I told myself, it's now or never. It's either you're going to do it or you're not. And I don't do failure very well. It's kind of not my vocabulary.
Right.
But I remember, John, getting to 4 miles that day. And I thought, okay. I said, we're fixing to get it. But we got to that 4 1/4 mark. And I ain't gonna lie, buddy, my body was done. I mean, it was over. And I remember I've told my wife this now, and I won't tell them again. No, this is not what about I did. I think this story is more about what God can do.
Right.
But I remember being tired, really, really, really hurting, probably to some degree pretty disoriented.
Right.
I mean, I just pushed it with everything that I had, and I was stumbling in the road, trying to just get one foot in front of the other to we're fixing to go do this. And I thought to myself, you're in a bad spot. You're here in the middle of the road. It's the middle of the daytime, and people don't fly up and down this road, but you need to get out of the road.
Yeah,
Because
right.
you're done. And I remember turning my phone off as far as I've been sitting there listening to music while I was walking, and
Right.
I remember there on my knees just trying to get myself together in the ditch. And we talked earlier about promises to people. And I promised my grandfather before he died that I will do everything in my power to my last day, to my last breath, that I will be there for these kids. I'll do whatever it takes. But I remember being there, wore out and hurting in the ditch, and people will call me crazy, call me whatever you want to, and I'll own it. Because if anybody knows me knows, and this isn't conceited, I don't necessarily care what people think about me as much as what I think about me and what God thinks
There you
about
go.
me.
Yep.
I don't really let other people's opinions bother me too bad. But I remember laying there on my knees thinking, I got to call Janie. She's gonna have to come get me because I'm not gonna make it back. And plain as day, I hear a very distinct voice that's unmistakable to me, and two words, and it was just two simple words, John. But I heard the voice of Matt Colliver tell me, "You promised.
Wow.
You promised." And it hurt. And I got up, and it was hard. But we made 5 miles that day. I went home and had to soak in the hot tub for a while because it was rough. Nobody will convince me it wasn't him. But I think maybe that was just Pop going, "Hey, you said you would. You promised.
Wow.
Better keep your promise. Doesn't matter what it is."
Wow.
So
So
that was a rough day, but it was
that's incredible.
I don't mean it to sound. When I saw that doctor the next day, I was like, "Hey, just so you know, it might not be a good idea to just go. No, you're not going to anymore."
Right.
And it was hard, John. My family, my wife, and my daughter suffered. I feel worse for them than for whatever it was I went through. I'm tough. You can hurt. I go through a lot.
Now, what do you mean they suffered? I mean, you're talking about because you were
They
pushing it to walk 5 miles, or just
throughout,
because of the whole
throughout
thing?
the whole thing.
Okay.
I think honestly, and whenever I say suffered, I don't mean we were well taken care of. We didn't finances were a little bit hard, but it wasn't the end of the world. But my wife and daughter for a long time really had to take care of me.
Yeah.
Because I was not able to take good care of myself. It was really kind of weird, and being in such a state where my wife had to help me eat.
Yeah.
She had to help you shower. She had to help you pretty much do anything you were going to do for
Gotcha.
a while, until there was enough stamina and strength built back up to get up and do anything again. So when I tell you my wife and my daughter suffered, I guess that's what I mean by that.
Well, I guess my thing is, of course, your wife's not here. I don't even know. I don't know Janie, but I would almost bet that she would not use the word suffered. I mean, you're so used to helping people and not needing anything that somebody helping you. I mean,
It was a hard thing for me to swallow some pride and let somebody help me.
I want you to know. I mean,
Even my wife.
you don't. I don't think you need to feel any guilt for needing help.
It was a rough time, and if she were here, she would probably say exactly what you said. I think for me though, as a man, and I had to kind of swallow my pride some, and
sure.
that's okay. I would let Gracie help me do anything except go to the bathroom or go to the shower.
Sure.
But Gracie's studying to be an ER nurse one day, and she'll be a great one. It was kind of a good hands-on thing for her.
Yeah, I bet.
And my wife took care of a lot of things when I was unable to take care of myself.
Yep.
So I'm trying to think, pushing on forward from that. That day was a really prideful day, an exciting day,
Sure.
but it was also a kick in the rear because I had to go back and do another CT scan that day, only to discover you're not out of the woods yet, and you may have been pushing a little too hard in life.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that day, December 30th, we learned that I have a 3 millimeter dissection still in my neck, that I may have had a mini stroke and didn't know it
Oh, wow.
in my sleep, and that there was going to be another surgery needed to put in a bare metal flex stent. So I'm pretty much stented from my chest to just below my right hip. I have a long stent. So I went back. Our wedding anniversary of all days was my surgery date, about February 14th. Went and did a second surgery. The second surgery, it didn't hurt as bad. Recovery was much better. I was up walking. I walked probably a half a mile, 6 hours out of surgery around the hospital.
Wow.
Some want to, but knew I needed to get up and get your body in motion and get moving.
Right.
But as far as taking away stamina, the second surgery was way worse. I'd actually, between, I guess after December 30th came home, still was walking and trying to get myself. I actually got 7 miles.
Wow.
Pretty consistently could walk 7 miles without stopping. It was, and it really wasn't painful. I still get out and walk a whole lot every day, at least 2 miles every day.
Really? Yeah.
Lots of things health-wise changed. Habits have changed a lot.
Okay.
Probably I've learned to sleep a lot better. I work with a wonderful primary care physician here. She's out of White Oak Family Medicine, Dr.
Okay.
Mandy Coffey. She's a nurse practitioner, wonderful person. And she doesn't make me feel like an idiot. She breaks things.
That's pretty important, actually.
Hey, hats off to her. She
You
broke
know?
a lot of things down to terms that I could understand that were because a lot of things, surgeon and cardiology, I didn't understand all that
Sure.
stuff.
Of course.
But she taught me through it, and from a person that does not really trust doctors, when I tell you I trust her, I'd give her the keys to my gun safe.
Wow.
Trust her.
Wow.
Whatever she says, I'm there for it.
Yeah, man, that's amazing.
So she looks after. She does. She takes good care of me. She's my wife's physician.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for her as much as I am anybody.
Do they talk about causes? Because, sounds like this was completely out of the blue. You didn't have, you don't have issues like this or haven't. And
so 2 years prior, I remember went and Janie came home from work. I was working in the yard one day, and I told her, I don't feel right. My chest feels weird. Went to the hospital, went through the whole thing, stayed overnight in the hospital, had a full-blown, what's that, whenever they check your veins, heart catheter. Had a heart catheter done that checks the inside of all of your veins.
Okay.
But it doesn't check the outside. And probably, and there's no way of factually knowing this, probably that was about the beginning of it 2 years prior. I was pretty much walking around likely a ticking time bomb and didn't know it.
Wow.
Years of stress, not taking good care of myself, not eating good, not sleeping.
Right. Right.
Again, one of those, I'm going to take care of somebody else. I'm not going to take good care of me.
Right.
But I cannot stress to, especially to young dads, there's so many important things. Don't get me wrong. It's good for us to get out and be good providers. It's good that we can get out and help others. But if I could, among whatever other advice I might could offer to a young dad or a dad to be soon, or the young ones that aren't dads yet, is know that it's okay to take care of yourself too.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic police officer mentor of mine, Tim Bryan, once told me that a hurt first responder helps nobody. Guys, if you're a dad, you don't take good care of yourself and you go down, you don't help your children, you don't help your wife very well if you're down there.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think when I say self-care, know that it's okay to get some rest. Take that nap on Sunday after church. It's okay.
Yeah. I guess just recently I've been thinking about sleep and how, I don't think I get enough sleep. And I think that, probably does have a lot more of a negative effect than I have previously thought.
Sure.
I've got 7 kids, and so.
And it's awesome too. I met them down there. That was cool.
Awesome.
I love it.
They're awesome, man. They're awesome. But so if you have a couple of kids, usually you deal with a whole sleep issue for the first couple of years of life.
Absolutely.
Well, you having 7 kids,
you're going to deal with it for a lot of years.
I'm still dealing with some of that. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? So, we're getting up in the middle of the night sometimes, not all the time. We're still not, feeding kids through the night, but, having a couple special needs kids, sometimes you hear something in the night and they just decide to wake up,
Sure.
So, on top of that, I have been a guy who's liked to stay up at night late just because sometimes that's the only quiet time you have.
Absolutely, and
you know what
need
I
that. Yes.
And so, but then I'm thinking recently, like, I think my body may need Like I probably need to do better about sleep. You know.
My biggest thing is I worked nights.
Yeah.
So I worked nights full time, and then working on building a business on top of that.
Yep.
Sleep, I probably have ran for, I guess since I left law enforcement, got into the oil field, you kind of learn to live on coffee and caffeine in the oil field, and that's how you get through it.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon to be awake 48 hours in the oil field, going at it.
Good night.
So I kind of learned some bad habits there.
Sure.
I since have learned there's things I'm not going to slap anybody in the face, but I don't do energy drinks anymore.
Yep. Okay.
Had a bad, I'm not going to say addiction to it, but had an issue with that, and that's how I could stay awake and keep going. I could go work 15 hours at night, go work in my shop 3 hours whenever I would get home, sleep 3 hours, get up, work 2 hours in my shop, and then go back to work. And I did that for years.
That's unreal. That's
It was
unreal.
stupid is what it was, just being honest with you.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I don't know. Those energy drinks are obviously addicting. So I don't drink them. But
Right.
you know, if you go into the convenience store now,
They're everywhere.
I mean, it's like all the coolers.
Yes.
I mean, it's like mostly energy drinks. So I mean, there's a lot of, apparently people want them, and apparently they can help you.
It will help you get through a lot.
Get through a lot,
I
yeah,
mean,
so-
it's not healthy for you. I don't think at all. I'm no medical expert, and I don't think
Right.
I attribute a lot of what happened to me to lack of sleep and that being a big part of it, and a lot of stress and. I was on blood pressure medicine, but honestly, I'd let it get out of hand.
Yeah.
And you know, energy drinks on top of having a blood pressure issue is not necessarily a great combination in life. But that's just, I said we're going to be real, raw, and honest, and there it is.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah, sure. Man.
It was not probably a very healthy life choice.
Well, you know, I mean, we who makes all healthy life
I
choices?
know I
Joe?
didn't. I still don't some days.
Well, so what are your effects now? I mean, you're not a year. I mean, let's see, November 28th. Are you 6 months out of that?
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close
So
to
what do you feel like now? I mean, are you still feeling effects from that?
I'll be just shooting you straight. My one of the doctors I saw a few weeks ago asked where I felt like I was, and I said, "What do you mean where I felt like I was?" She said, "Well, how do you feel now, percentage-wise, versus what you were before?"
Yeah.
Truth be known, I feel 50%.
Okay. Wow.
But I told my boss one day, and I don't mean this negative towards anybody.
Right.
My 50% is probably a lot of folks' 100%.
Yep. There you go. Yeah.
Whenever I was full on running and going at life, there was a lot of things they might say at my funeral, but one thing they were not going to be able to say is that he was not busy.
Exactly.
He was on the go all the time, and he didn't sleep much, and he was passionate about the things that he did. That's probably about the best thing they would say about me. But
Come on now.
it was so. As far as I cannot do things, I still get out and I have I'm so very proud of a little piece of paper in my pocket. It's my Department of Transportation medical certificate that I have to be a licensed CDL driver.
Okay, right.
I have one cleared. I have a 1-year card. I'm cleared. I can still get out and go do it. And
There you go.
still do get out and go do my job that I did prior. But I work in the office a lot now too.
Yeah, cool.
Trying not to go at it like I was, because I'm very, very, very. I mean, God saved the dumb redneck the first time. I'm not sure. I'm not saying he can't, but I'm not saying he might not. Be so gracious the second time.
Yeah, he's given the warning. He's like, all right,
He
now,
did.
okay, Joe,
when I
come on
told
now.
you God slaps you around, gets your attention. He got my attention.
No doubt about that. Well, hey, props to your employer for working with you. Like you said, your role's a little different now. You're doing a lot more office work.
Sure.
Maybe So props to your employer too.
Yeah. I mean, Justin's a great guy.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about Okay, so am I saying this correct? Hiya Bait Company.
You nailed it. Actually, very few folks get it.
Is this like Hiya?
That, it's a funny name, and it is. It's funny, and it's a funny story of how it
Yeah.
got its name. So I am not the original person of Hiya Bait Company,
Okay.
and that was him that just called a moment ago. So a childhood friend of mine, Bart Doty, bought what was combat lures at
Okay.
the time from a gentleman up in the Pittsburgh area.
Okay.
And he had a young son at the time, and Drake's favorite thing was the whole martial arts, karate movies, etc. So he would walk around the house as a young kid, 2 or 3, and he had the whole Hi-Ya thing down real
Yeah.
quick, and that's how Hi-Ya Bait Company came to be.
That's awesome.
So, whenever Bart kind of got super tied up in another business endeavor, I said, hey, I got a place. I don't know that I can make it big, but I think, what's it going to hurt? Let's try it. Let's
Yeah.
see. So Marty and I got involved with it, and there's three of us total that own it, and we're in business together. We're all great friends. We fish together, fish against one another. Have done a lot of traveling together, traveled in competition. We're all great friends. We have a lot of fun doing it.
That's cool. So okay, so explain what it is. You guys make all kinds of lures.
We do.
Different types of
So
baits.
we make bass fishing lures.
Okay.
We make skirted fishing jigs. We do not do soft plastic. We don't pour our own soft plastic. But pretty much everything else make buzz baits, spinner baits, not spinner bait, vibrating jigs. We're soon to be releasing a spinner bait. We're working on. Got a few things in the future we're working on. I've learned real quick that owning a business is not all sunshine and roses like folks probably think it is. It's really not.
Right.
This is year 3, and there is a lot that goes on. It's truly a blast, and for the three of us, it really doesn't feel like work because what we're doing, we absolutely love it.
Right.
So it doesn't really feel like a job, but it's keeping up with the business end of it, and financials and taxes and CPAs, et cetera.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot to it on that part of it, but overall, it's absolutely a blast. My wife gets out and helps us with it. My daughter's very involved in it.
Very cool.
It's been absolutely a ton of fun, and for on top of that, getting the high school kids and they're
Okay.
they're at my shop quite often helping us when we need a little extra help.
Yeah, cool.
It's a little extra money in their pocket, it kind of. I don't know. Things kind of come full circle and all of that. And if we make it big one day, we make it big. If it grows no bigger than what it is right now, I'm happy. Just because I love what we do, I love the opportunity to be inventive and creative.
Yeah.
And even though I may not competitive fish as much anymore, I still get to be around competitive fishing a lot.
Yeah.
And to me, that's really exciting.
You're kind of in the orbit of that whole world there, right?
Sure. Well, I mean, let's just face it. I'm getting to be older now. My heyday, so they speak.
Now hold up.
Oh, brother.
No, you're maybe a year or two older than me, so come on now.
Yeah, but you see, I look about 10 years older than you.
No, so.
Huge difference.
Stop,
I look 10 years older than you. But
getting old.
I guess what I'm saying is and I'm not saying that I'm throwing in the towel on competitive fishing. I love that, and I'll do that every opportunity I get till I die. But I don't want some of these younger guns having to learn some of the things the hard way and make some of the same mistakes. I'm not saying just give it to them. I'm not for just give them everything.
Yep.
But it doesn't hurt to throw them a bone about, hey, there might be a better way of doing this.
Yep.
Let me show you a little something here that'll make your life a little easier.
Yep.
And that's what I mean by I still get to be involved in it. So we obviously work very, very heavily with a high school fishing team, heavily involved in a collegiate fishing team.
Okay.
They hold a national title. East Texas Baptist University Tigers fishing team.
There you go.
They won a national championship with their team. We're in our second year of sponsorship of that fishing club, and enjoy the times we get to go over there and see those guys. When we get to travel to go watch them weigh in and kind of be a part of it, it's really special.
That's cool, man.
Cool. We were there before my daughter decided that's where she was going to attend school. So it just kind of, everything just kind of came around, and now I'm there pretty often anyways with her. So I get to see some friends, and I'm not going to call them my team because it's not my team. I just get to be a little small factor in it.
Yeah.
And to me, I absolutely love it.
That's great, man. So you guys, the owners of the bait company, I mean, you guys aren't just making stuff. I mean, like you've got things that work that you think, why would somebody make something like this? You bought lures, baits, and things going, this just doesn't work, right? So you guys are making things that people will like, they'll work, right?
Everything that we put out of our shop is something that is probably gone through a long field testing long before anybody else ever sees it.
Okay, yeah.
Whether it be a color we have worked on or a design of something, it's gone through a whole bunch of field testing, and that's kind of where the high school team and the college teams come in.
There you go, yeah.
Hey, let's go out and work with this and tell me if there's something we need to make better modifications, and we certainly trust them, so we're open to listening to it.
Love it, man.
And whatever adjustments of something that we need to make, we have no issues making, and it's typically before a product comes out, it's been 3 to 6 months in the making, long before anybody else ever sees it.
That's probably pretty smart, actually.
A lot of time spent watching something in the swimming pool in the backyard, even in the cold months. Absolutely, I ride up the chlor, everything that we need. to keep that pool clean
Sure.
for recreational use, it's also a business right off for me.
There you go,
Because
yeah.
that is our testing facility.
Well, sure, yeah, and you got to be able to see it, right? See it do its
Absolutely,
thing. You got to be able to.
it's clear where I can see it. I can actually go. Something we're working on now. Went underwater and watched with goggles in the bottom of the swimming pool the other
Wow.
day because I wanted to see how it acted.
Man, that's cool.
It just kind of worked out really well to be a fantastic research and development.
There you
area.
go. Yeah, I love it, man. Since you are physically, like you say, you feel like you're 50% of where you were prior to the incident or whatever, and you're going to be smart about how you live.
Sure,
Just taking care
absolutely.
of yourself. What's the future? Like, what is your vision for your future in mentoring work? You talked about it a little bit with the bait company, but I mean, are you seeing a shift in your life as far as how you mentor young people in these outdoor
I think,
activities?
So I get invited often to come speak to high schools, et cetera, before
Okay.
the incident. I try to get out there and tell something, and it might be stories that I've listened to of other, elite anglers, et
Yeah.
cetera, and their stories of how they came up and how they overcome odds, their humble beginnings, et cetera, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So I always try to find an interesting person that they may know and go through that story without ever mentioning their name, and then bring them up at the end. It's kind of a moment of inspiration. But I think, and normally my little talk's 15 to 20 minutes long, but there is now another 5 minutes in it.
Okay.
Because I think, and I don't know who am I? I'm just dumb old redneck. But I firmly believe that sometimes, in order to get a hold of people, God calls us to live a sermon, not preach one.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can tell you anything positive through this whole thing, other than I made it and I lived through it, it's that I have a whole different outlook. There is I feel like I have probably played life safe a lot, and by that I mean maybe I did not put as much effort into some things in life that I probably should have. To others, it may seem like a lot, but me, I knew there was a lot more in me to give, and I think no more shortchanging life. That 5 minutes. Now, God gave me an incredible story, an incredible testimony, and it's not that I think it's incredible. I mean, for me, it was one of the scariest things that ever happened to me. But if my story and what happened to me is what it takes to wake somebody else up and go, hey, you might not want to just live footloose, fancy free. There is a higher being, and they are there. And if you believe, if you trust Him, He'll get you through pretty tight spots in life. And I was in a pretty tight spot in life
No
that
doubt.
day,
Yeah, man,
and
that's
have been since. But as far as future plans, I don't really have any necessary serious plans, other than I'm not backing down.
There you go.
I'm going at it, and I'm probably going to go at it harder, honestly.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more calculated.
Right.
Think about it ahead of time a little bit more, and maybe not expend as much energy, but maybe do the same thing, but maybe in a different way.
Gotcha.
And I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what that way is. Whatever the good Lord says do, whatever I feel called to do, that's what we're going to do.
There you go.
And
Love it,
however
man.
it may be, still love to get out and competitive fish. Still going to work with the kids in the outdoors.
Love
No intention. No, I'll do that till I die. That was my promise to Clinton Mack. And I may be a lot of things in life, but I'm a man of my word.
it. That's awesome. How can people listening here, I mean, is there any avenue for people to support what you do, to support CMO Outdoors? Do you ever look for that, or is it just kind of like,
No,
we're going to do what we do?
We're going to do what we do regardless. It's not I've never thought about help, support, etc. Working in the outdoor industry, I have some incredible partners that I've worked with, etc. Sponsorships through competitive fishing or in hunting. If a kid needs some additional hunting clothes, I've got a way to buy that maybe at a better price. But as far as actual, I want anybody that sees this, here's what would be the best thing instead of somebody giving money towards this cause. I would urge people to pray for those that we come into contact in this cause. For whoever God sends our way, Because I promise you, I'm praying for them, and instead of financial support, that's what I would ask.
That's awesome. That's
Now,
awesome.
I think that would be way more. Going through all this, I promise you, money doesn't quite take the same outlook as what it used to.
Yeah, gotcha.
Whether
Love
it be the whole medical thing, money's just stuff.
Yeah.
And in the end, it truly doesn't matter.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't think anybody laying on their deathbed says, "I wish I'd worked more."
Exactly. Yep. Change your perspective, right?
Way different.
Well, tell me how people can see you. I mean, social media. I mean, I know you go live on TikTok, or I think with
Yeah.
High I Bake Company.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me how people can see what you're doing, find you.
So Squirrel at High Bake Company on TikTok.
Okay.
You're welcome to follow my personal page. I'm Joe Nolley. CMO Outdoors has has its own Facebook page. You're welcome to
Okay.
follow it. We do try to give updates when we do things, but a lot of the things we do is not necessarily for public eye because
Okay.
it's not why it is done.
Gotcha.
The people that come in, the young kids that kill deer with me, or I make sure that we have very clear understanding with parents. Hey, it's okay if I take a picture and put it on social media because
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
Or and it's not. I don't want people to think it's just kids that are trouble kids that I work with. I work with any kid. I don't
Yeah.
care. I love them all.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can follow us there. The bake company.
Cool.
We have our own social media. God, that's probably about it.
Yeah. Social
Yeah.
media is it these days, man.
Yeah,
It's just
we have a website, www.hiyabakeco.com.
Okay.
Welcome to contact us there about baits, or if you've got a high school fishing team and you just want somebody that's been around the block a little while to come. I don't know if it's advice worth giving or listening to, but I'll be glad. I had a team call me last year and said, "What do you charge to come do this?" I mean, what do you mean? What do I charge? I don't want any money for this. I don't need any money for this.
Wow. Love it, dude.
Not why I do it.
Yeah.
I want to see the next generation be the best version of who they're going to be.
That's amazing, man.
That matters.
Yeah.
Money doesn't matter.
Right.
When it comes down to it doesn't matter.
And money can corrupt. I mean, we're all susceptible to it, but I mean, whenever you get money tied up in something, it's just a little foothold, for the corruption to kind of creep in. So I love that, man.
So for us, I mean, we're going to be out in the outdoors anyways. If that means that I get an opportunity to take a young man or a young lady, I'm not scared. I promise you, them girls can hunt it with the best of them.
Yeah.
I remember, whenever we found out Gracie was a girl, I thought, and I'm horrifically ashamed to say what I'm fixing to say, but I told you, real raw and honest. I remember going, well, God, I'm grateful to be a dad, but can you make the next one a little boy? Because I thought I needed a little boy to go do the things in life that I enjoy.
Yep.
And I rapidly, soon after she was born, learned that God has a real sense of humor, and God does not necessarily give you the things in life that you want, but He gives you everything you need. And I had no idea that I needed a girl.
Yep.
I needed a daughter.
Yep.
And I promise you, she's not bashful. She can go do anything and everything that anybody else can.
Yeah.
I thought I needed a little boy to go have a running companion in life,
True.
and I was wrong. So dads of little girls, don't be afraid to go take them with you.
Yeah.
Gracie again probably was. I bet she was in the boat with me, sitting in the boat at least at the house at 5 months old.
Wow.
100% know she was at least in her playpen in the boat, in the back of the boat. I had her in a life vest. We would go for outings, might be just 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
In the boat, but I wanted her to be very comfortable in that environment, and if she it was something that she enjoyed, I wanted her to at least have been around it.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be the same way in hunting. So Gracie is 19 now. Gracie killed her first deer at 5, and she has now killed 29.
Wow.
She's very serious about it. She loves to fish, loves to deer hunt, loves to help others.
Yeah. Man, that's
So
awesome.
the time is coming. It's going to be her time to one day when it's my time to go, somebody else is as far as my little family is going to have to take over what Clint and Mac did, and it's going to be her, and she'll do. I don't have any concerns about it whatsoever.
Yeah. No, sounds like it'll be in good hands.
And it's not just her. I mean, I've got little nephews, my brother's sons, Corey Mark's boy.
Yeah.
It's all going to be in really good hands one day
awesome.
when it's the older guys that kind of got this going. When it's our time to go, it won't die.
Man, that's got to feel good too. That's got to feel good.
It's I don't know if I've ever thought about it as far as feeling good, as much as I look at it and go, well, if one or two people can help one or two people, and those one or two people go help one or two people. For me, I've been in since grandfather died to current. I've been there when 31 kids now have killed their first deer.
Wow.
That's been in the last 13 years.
Wow.
It's something again, and it isn't about me. It's about all right. We got a chance to get out here and
Yeah.
we talk about the birds and how that bird come here. Well, let me just tell you how that bird came here. I
Yeah.
said, if you open my hunting backpack or in the I can exactly tell you exactly where my Bible. I keep a Bible in my hunting pack. I keep one in my boat.
That's awesome.
They don't leave.
That's awesome.
In my hunting pack, that's the first thing that comes out when I get settled in, and it's the last thing that goes back in. When I fire the boat off to go competitive fish or whatnot, I have it in the rod locker, and it's there on purpose because it's a conversation piece. We're going fishing. Why is your Bible there? Well, let me explain that to you real quick.
Yeah. Love it, man.
So it's there with purpose. It's not, and they're used. It's not that is. It's not like it's in there in cellophane wrapper. Oh no. Especially if somebody wants to visit or feels like, or if I feel like maybe I'm pressed to share a little bit more, and we'll get it out. Let's talk about it.
That's awesome.
We're out here in the middle of the lake. You ain't going nowhere.
Exactly. That's how we started.
And we got time.
Right.
So, it's kind of odd how God puts us in positions like that, and the weird things that you think about and how that goes about. But that's kind of oddly how I think about it. And I think how I kind of correlate it. So
yeah, man, I love it, dude. So just getting out there and doing it with purpose.
Sure.
And you can exponentially. I mean, this can grow. Your influence, the Lord's influence through you, can exponentially increase and grow. And I love it.
I think if one person kind of gets it and understands it, and they help the next person, there's no telling where it would go. And I think the world would be a better place if we would all just try to help one another instead of fussing and arguing one another.
I love that, buddy. No doubt about that.
If we would worry more about helping our neighbor instead of, well, gosh, dog, look what he did over here yesterday. That wasn't right. So what? It's not my place to judge. I'm not gonna judge him either.
Yep.
I'm in the helping people pick people up business. I'm not kicking you down business.
I love it, dude. Love it. Joe, thanks for being on the podcast, man. I want to also just thank you for being a faithful believer, father, husband, mentor. I just want to thank you for that, And
I feel like I
know that. I'm not, you're not much on taking accolades on yourself, but I just want to thank you for that because that is a rare thing these days.
To God be the glory for it.
There you go. Let him have the glory. Let's close this out in prayer.
Absolutely, brother.
Father God, thank you so much for just loving us, Lord, for giving us the purpose to go out and to have purpose, Lord. We wouldn't have a purpose without you, Lord. Thank you for Jesus, for the sacrifice that you made, for the forgiveness of our sins, Lord Jesus. I pray, God, you would bless Joe. I pray you would bless CMO Outdoors. I just pray that, God, your word would just flourish and go forward through that. And I pray that this conversation would inspire many people to take your word,
yes, Lord.
And go forth with it, Lord. We love you. Thank you so much for all the many blessings. It's in the name of Jesus I pray. Amen.
Amen.